Welcome to the Relationship Cycle with Jorge and Nelsa. And this is your girl, Nelsa. Jorge, how are you today?
I'm doing well. I'm looking forward to jump into a different topic, one that we've kind of been kicking around, and I'm looking forward to getting your feedback since this is something that a lot of people kind of have to find a balance when it comes to their career and their dating and relationship lives.
Exactly. One of the things that made this such a interest to me was the fact that when I was working for myself, I had plenty of time to date, go out, day dates, weekends, whatever. Now that I am, back busy with a semi um, official schedule, it is an on call schedule. And so it is very random. I know what it's going to be a month in advance, but there are a lot of days where I'm working, can't be local, you know, um, almost like long distance dating again, to tell you the truth. And so what I wondered was like, for some people, how much is it worth to you between your career and your dating life? Or is it a timestamp sort of thing? There's some people that when they're young, they want to work and get their money up, go get the bag, if you will. Um, does it matter as far as where you are in your life? If you're going to put more focus on your work than on your relationship, or do you need to find a balance no matter where you are? So, what about you? What has been your experience?
To me, I think it is important, right, to identify that balance. The key is what my balance looks like may be completely different to what your balance is.
Right.
And I think that it's important to, in the early stages, right, of getting to know each other or just, trying to meet for a few dates, to kind of be upfront about availability, work schedules, life goals, career goals, relationship goals, to kind of be upfront and aware about those things so that you're both on the same page as far as what you're looking to get from a dating relationship standpoint and also from a career standpoint, because obviously, depending on the career, some of those can be very time consuming, or some of those can, lead to people traveling out of town or out of the country in some cases.
Absolutely. I know from my past experiences, I dated someone who worked at a fire department. He was a captain at the fire department. So he was kind of on call. You never knew when you're going to have to go in, because of a fire, or, he had to be at the station. I've dated people who worked, rotating shifts. So you don't know exactly what you're going to get. You know that it's going to be a first, second, or third shift at some point, or 12 hours, daytime, 12 hours nighttime. Um, so I think I'm a pretty flexible person as long as you can communicate to me like what to expect, if you're pretty busy. But I did date someone who owned their own business before, who was pretty successful. Went out with, I'm not going to say date because that would be inaccurate, but we went out, and I noticed that he rarely called. He didn't text a lot. And there was always this sort of, um, his preoccupation with work when we did get to spend time together. um it was it was kind of weird for me, weird energy, because it was just like, where is your focus? And I didn't feel like I was a very big part of that. So it really does matter to me, like what a person does in terms of how they budget their time with me. If you're constantly, wrapped in your work and you don't ever get to carve out time just for me and for you, then it's not going to work. It's not going to work with me. Because that's something that's very important to me. Like, we should be able to focus on one another, or whatever our activity is going to be, however we're going to spend time together. And for you to stay like half one foot in your job and the other half over here, I found that to be a little disheartening. Like, I don't think we can move forward with that kind of energy.
Yeah, and it's a tough balancing act sometimes, right? Because obviously, Making good living opens up opportunities as far as, traveling, doing activities, going to restaurants, etc. And believe you me, dating is not something that you can be successful at when you're not working or you don't have the capability to,
Mm-hmm.
take a woman out on a date, right? So as a man, right, or a woman, right? Like you have to find that right balance of, I'm a big believer in work hard, play hard. That's more my mentality. But I think it is important to outline what your career goals are and what your relationship goals are early on, so that way the parties involved can decide if this is something that can work, or is it something that, it's just not going to be enough for me.
Yes, yes. And people who, work long hours or are really committed to their schooling and education, like doctors, for instance. I think about a lot, nurses, you know, you don't always know, like, how they're going to have to go in and see patients, or, if they don't have like a general practice, and if somebody works at the hospital, may have to go in unexpectedly. So to me, it feels like it will impact what we get to do, how often we get to do it. Um, Morgan Bass on our Facebook post that you put up on July 18th said, "My jobs definitely impact my dating life. I'm a correctional officer by day, and a lot of men feel I'm less feminine because of it, or intimidated by it, or jealous because it's a male dominant field. Also, my night job as a DJ, I've had guys say things implying jealousy, and I'm just like, well, wait till you hear about my main source of income. LOL. Guess I'll be single forever." So Morgan is definitely faced with some really strong challenges with just how her profession is set up. Like, she can't help, she's around all these men all day long. But
No, I
apparently
agree.
people don't like it.
Yeah, and that's, and again, that's why it's important to have those conversations early on. So I've talked to a couple of my buddies who are self-employed, and obviously, when you're self-employed, you may have to work even when you're on vacation, or even if you're just enjoying,
Mm-hmm.
some relaxation or relaxing time. So that's why, as a person, right, it's important to have those honest conversations, so that way people don't get turned off, or people don't get surprised that, hey, I thought we were coming to the play, but you're over here on your phone doing stuff, like that's why it's important to really set the expectations early. Also, getting a planner. I've been
Mm-hmm.
told by people who, have very busy schedules, or who have unique work schedules, or self-employed planner. Like some people live off those planners, whether it be because they have to, meet with clients, or because they have to go do work stuff, or, networking, or because they have, dates or activities planned that are, with whoever they're dating or pursuing. And
Right.
that kind of helps them keep organized and to kind of time block properly.
Some people don't like that because it feels like the spontaneity. And I used to be like that when I was younger. Like, there's no spontaneity. We have to plan every date that way. But, you know, the more you feel kind of like we got responsibilities as two grown people, and some things we just have to get done, a schedule really has been effective. Making that time and carving it out. Makisha DeCray said, "My bag is major, but I'll make time for what's needed. My man does come first." I like that you replied to the comment. If there's a will, there's a way. And you know, someone told me, I was asking someone about, what do you think about work and dating? And the comment was, um, you make time for what you want. So your intention is very important. If you decide this is important enough for you, you'll figure out a way to make it happen.
Oh, I agree. And this reminds me of that famous saying, right? Ain't no mofo busier than a mofo that don't want to see you.
That Look,
Oh man,
it
that
not
saying,
all be work.
that is one of my favorites. One of my favorites because, and I get it, right? Like, listen, people, especially people that have families, kids, demanding jobs, like all that is part of this. So in looking into this, um, it's important, right, to establish those goals. Like, for example, once upon a time, a few years ago, I was seeing a doctor, and she would tell me that, hey, look, like I'm available this Saturday, but I'm on call.
Mm-hmm.
So when she would tell me that, that would, in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, let's do something low key because if we try to go out of town or if we try to go to some fancy expensive dinner, then obviously that could be cut short just because something could happen or because they could call her in. So I would try to be mindful when it was days where she is on call so that way we wouldn't do something that required a big commitment or a big investment. Does that make sense?
It does, absolutely, because there's also the whole take of you could be dating someone who doesn't work and doing a lot of park dates and walking at the Y on the track outside, or you know, if you want somebody who is about something and wants to have something, there's going to have to be some sacrifice on the scheduling part of things. Or if you want somebody who has a lot of free time on their hands, you're not going to be getting a whole lot of stuff in the relationship. You're not going to be doing a whole lot of going out to eat and traveling a lot. Because if they don't work, more than likely their finances are not in order for those things to happen. So, again, finding that perfect balance. Catherine Madeline M says, and thank you, Catherine. You're always giving us some great commentary on the Facebook post. For me, it goes beyond job career. I work 5 a.m. to 3 to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday and have my 6-year-old that I share custody of. So for me, dating is difficult and having to coordinate schedules because one, I won't bring my mini around anyone I'm dating until it's been discussed and the relationship is in a place that allows me to feel comfortable enough to introduce her to them. And she comes first, always, unless I'm married. Two, if the man I'm dating is also in a demanding career, it becomes difficult to see one another often. Can be disappointing, especially when you want to see them more often. But on the upside, you get to miss the person, and that can keep things fresh and spicy. Amen to that, Catherine. It also makes you appreciate the time you get with that person all the more, especially if they have other responsibilities like kids, family, etc. It just takes understanding and patience. And I really appreciated that point of view of being able to miss the other person. I've experienced that some where before it just made me anxious and, I felt very unsettled and needy. But now I feel like I'm in a good place where the person I'm dating, we don't get to see each other every day. We talk every day, but we don't get to see each other every day. But it when we do get a chance to be together, it is very satisfying. The conversation is rich. We get to catch up on things. Um, it, the bonding is different when you actually get to miss the person.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they say, what is it? Time apart makes the heart
Right. That's his
fonder.
heart make your heart grow fonder, right?
Absolutely. But I think it is important, right? Like, say, for example, right? If you meet someone and you see that they're starting a business and you're meeting them or you're getting to know them or dating them in the process of them starting a business, um, based on some of the research that I did, it's important to let the person know that, hey, right now, this business, this job is the priority. But once I get settled in or once I get to this point or this level, then obviously the balance that I'm looking for is going to take place and I'll be able to spend more time with you or take you out more because I know that the business and the work part is stable and handled. But it is important to express and convey that because what happens is that when you don't have those conversations, that's when one of the partners can start to feel some kind of way, start to feel neglected, start to feel resentful. So that's why early on it's very crucial to put that on the table so that the person understands that, hey, I am not just blatantly ignoring you. this is just my focus today, but in
Right.
4 months, 5 months, 6 months, this is going to change and I'm going to have a better balance of work and life and dating work-life balance. But it's important to lay that out because if a person walks into that without those conversations being had, then that's when those feelings start to kind of manifest and you won't know about it until, it's maybe too late.
Right. And to that point, Diva's Eve said that she works with her husband of almost 6 years. And they work at a shop. She says some days they're all over each other, and then some days they're really into the job and focused. She said at home we're focused on the three kids, but we're good on intimate time. It's just wanting to be in love and for your person to know that they matter. So just like you said, having those conversations. She says so our careers will always have daily impact on how we interact day to day. um, Monet Banks made a really good point that I could amen. She's like working a job that is very demanding and cause strain due to limited time and dates spent together and feeling fatigued to go to bed early instead of being able to enjoy each other's presence. That is so real. Like work and fatigue can really, especially if one person has a kind of normal get your 8 hours in type of job and the other one doesn't, the fatigue factor can really start to wear on the one that feels like ready to go out and to do things when the other one is like any free time you have, I just want to be in the bed and take a nap and recover before it's time for me to go back to work again. So I can remember my dad worked swing shift at a manufacturing plant when I was growing up. And, if he worked third shift, that meant he had to sleep during the day. And so me and my mom would have to be really, really quiet and really like make no whole bunch of noise because he needed to go to sleep to get up at like, 10 o'clock to get ready to be at work by 11 or 12 or whatever. And then he'd be at work while we're sleeping. And so, for a family, it can really affect like your family patterns. If you work second shift, you're working in the middle of the day when everybody else is out having a good time doing family stuff. You might have a little time in the morning, but you can't do a whole lot because then you got to be ready to go to work by 2 o'clock or 4 o'clock or whatever. And then you work while everybody else is doing whatever. And then everybody's going to sleep together. So, if you don't work a regular 8 to 5 kind of scenario, it can really deteriorate a relationship if you don't have a good solid ground.
All great points, and I think it is important, right, to identify those things early. A couple of other things that stood out to me about kind of talking with people about this and how they find that balance. A couple of things that stood out to me was trying to maximize time. So, for example, right, a lot of people like to use the weekend to kind of clean up their house, right, or to kind of do tasks around the house. So one person told me that one of the things that they try to do to free up time that they can spend with their partner is finding or hiring like a cleaning lady so that
Right.
she can come and help the house. And obviously, that's if people can afford it because not everybody can afford a cleaning lady every week. But if you can, that is one way to try to maximize some of that time and maybe it frees you up for 3 or 4 hours, a week. If you hire someone to do your cleaning for you or your laundry for you or your lawn, right? Things like that that you can outsource. If you are in a financial situation where you can do so, then that could be a potential idea to try to save, 3, 4 hours a week where you could be using that time to spend with your loved one.
Absolutely. And that's a great idea. Um, you know, not just for your dating life, but just like for you, even if you're single and you want to experience some other things and go to different places, like, really how you use your time can make the biggest difference in the world. That budget and managing it in a way is almost like your money because you can get some more money, but can't always get more time. So sometimes it's just being able to not have to do busy work so that you can sit and look at each other and talk to each other without a lot of interruption, you know? Because sometimes it doesn't have to really be a date where there's a lot of activity or going out and doing a whole lot, but where you can really connect and reconnect with one another.
Another thing too that stood out to me that I noticed, in having these conversations with my circle was no matter how busy you are, no matter what schedule you have to time block quality time that you spend
Hmm.
together, whether it be going on a date every week or going out for brunch once a week
Hmm.
or going to work out together or, having one night that's just, hey, we're gonna go out to dinner, we're gonna have date night or whatever, right? But make going out of your way to at least time block a day or half a day where you just enjoy each other and each other's time. And that to me, I think it's very smart because in a world where everything is geared around work, I think that's smart to time block and to manage that balance, right, that we speak of where, hey, every Friday night, I'm not working. I'm not going to look at work. I'm going to, take her out or take him out, and we're going to enjoy some quality time together because obviously the other 6 days, it's hit or miss depending on how the workflow goes.
That part. On Psych Central, Tanya Matejko wrote How to Manage Love and Career, and she gives some tips. And so maybe these can be helpful to people to manage that balance of relationship and work. One was to have emotional check ins. So when work gets hectic, do you feel seen? Does the other person feel supported? Are you discussing how you can reconnect, like you're talking about? Number two, slide into their DMs. Just dropping a line in their text during the day to let them know you're thinking about them might be just that little bit of sauce, maybe even some little sexy talk, in your DMs, just to let them know you're thinking about them. Um, she says what you say, establish a date night, making sure you got one night a week that you keep to each other. Um, or these are really good. Practice active listening. Um, Making sure that you're really present. You said this before, like sometimes people are on a date and they're on their phones checking work emails. Like the job can't have 24 hours of your day every day. Um, Five, setting healthy boundaries, making sure that communicate when you need extra sleep or you're going to have to stay late without being guilty, without always feeling like you're you're the one that's shafting the relationship. Dream together. I love this one. Creating a list of dreams and goals that can help you feel like you're working towards something together and give you something to look forward to. And then seven is ask for help. If you're stretched too thin, get somebody to help out. Like you said, get a maid or ask your partner if they can help you out with some of the tasks maybe that you have. And then love. It says above all else, don't forget to practice loving your partner. Showing love could be as simple as a genuine compliment or as grand as taking a day off to reconnect. And you can tell them that you love them. You might be trying to make space for intimacy and trying to ensure that they feel seen. Um, Leaving little love tokens or love notes in their lunchbox. I used to do that for my children when they were younger and I was working a lot. I wanted them to know that I was still thinking about them, even if I wasn't always able to be with them like other mothers were able to get to school or whatever. And so, doing that for your dating partner or the person you're in a close relationship with, again, something sweet that doesn't really cost a lot of money, but just allows the other person to know that you do see them, you do think they're important in your life, but work just happens to be the priority or the main focus at this moment.
Just to kind of add to some of the things you commented on, one of the things that I've done before and that I think has been a good way, right, to show a romantic gesture is ordering lunch or lunch dates, especially if you work nearby or you have a flexible lunch schedule, something like that. On the surface it seems small, but in the name of trying to, keep that that flame lit and that passion to continue to evolve and grow. Little things like that can go a long way. I also saw that there's studies out there that support that couples that do things, chores and activities together, like for example, right, cleaning up the kitchen or cleaning up the house or the garage, on average, most people that do those tasks together tend to have a better sex life.
Hmm. Yeah.
And it
Look,
makes sense when you think about it.
that
It makes sense because think about it. Instead of now putting all that responsibility on one person, that person is so worried and so focused on trying to keep the house
and
clean, the kitchen
and
clean.
tired.
Yeah, by the end of the day, they're worn out because they're like, I've been scrubbing bathtubs, I've been cleaning kitchens, I've been cleaning garages, like, so it makes sense. And it's a form of intimacy and teamwork on top of that. And, if you clean up that kitchen fast, then hey, now instead of 4 hours free that night, maybe you might have 6 or 7.
That part.
So to me, like all those little
Good
things make
stuff.
sense. But at the end of the day, right, just to kind of wrap the conversation up, be clear with your intentions. Like if you're somebody that, pursuing a food truck business, or if you're somebody who's a chef, be very clear and make the person aware that, hey, this is my reality right now. And if you want to walk into my reality right now, this is my focus. But also, obviously, it's important to know that, hey, this is not always going to be my focus, but for the time being, it is. And if you're okay with that, or if you think you can handle that, then hey, let's get to know each other. But I
Mhm.
think it is important to kind of lay and put all those cards on the table early on, so that way you're not wasting people's time.
That part. Great conversation tonight. Thank you to everyone who has been following us, liking our content, subscribing on Spotify, YouTube, and wherever else you get your podcast. You are appreciated, and we love to hear from you about maybe some things that maybe your relationship cycle uh, could use a little pick me upper. But please just let us know. Leave a comment, like, share, tell people about our podcast if you like what you hear and want to share it with others who it could be beneficial to them. Uh, but, Poppy, anything else to add?
Uh, no, but thank everybody for the support. Thank you for reaching out and giving us your input and your feedback. And as always, tune in, share, comment, like, and remember, people, work hard and play hard.
And keep it all balanced. Until next time.